Alright guys, this is the second generation Apple HomePod, and it was actually released February 3rd of 2023, so it has been out for quite some time now, and there are some things that have been changed from the original model that was released in 2018, and then it was actually discontinued in 2021 due to a lack of sales. The overall design is very similar, but there are a few subtle exterior changes that Apple made, with one of them being this display on the top. Now unfortunately, this top area is not an actual screen, so it's not going to be able to show you any useful notifications or insights or anything like that, but it will show you when Siri is activated. And now this display doesn't only cover the middle, but it covers this entire top plate, so it looks just a little bit better. And Apple was kind enough to give us a detachable cable that you can actually unplug from the HomePod. It's not a huge deal for myself, but I guess in the original HomePod, a lot of people complained about that, and it does improve the functionality just a little bit. And the bottom is now completely flat instead of that donut shape that we had before. And I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there was a whole deal with the white Apple HomePod, the original one, actually staining wooden surfaces that it was being set on. And I guess this one can still stain some wooden surfaces a little bit, but it is definitely improved. With my testing, I haven't noticed any issues with this at all, but I guess it does depend what kind of wood you have, so just make sure you keep an eye on it if you do pick up this white model. And the only other thing that's different about the exterior here is the size is just a tiny bit smaller. It's very hard to notice, but if you look close enough, you can tell that it's just a tiny bit smaller. And instead of white and space gray, they now have white and midnight, which is a dark blue color, and I honestly think it still looks like a black color, but there is just a hint of dark blue. Now the internals of the speaker have definitely changed, and Apple actually included 2 new sensors, including a temperature sensor so that you can do this. Hey Siri, what's the temperature in here?
It's 80 degrees Fahrenheit in the bedroom.
I thought this was super useful, and there's also a humidity sensor as well. I do want to mention that Apple actually secretly included both of these sensors in the HomePod minis, so if you have the software update 16.3 or newer, you will be able to access those features. Now the biggest change to this speaker is in the sound mechanics, and instead of having 7 tweeters wrapping around and 5 far-field microphones in the original HomePod, we now only have 5 tweeters wrapping around the inside of the speaker and 4 far-field microphones. Because there are fewer tweeters and microphones, Apple was actually able to price the HomePod at $299 instead of $349, which the original HomePod was priced at before Apple then lowered it and then discontinued it. We do still have one woofer at the top though, and the overall audio is very similar to the original HomePod. And the audio is honestly probably one of my favorite I've ever heard any smart speaker this size, but we will talk a little bit more about that in a bit. For now though, let's go ahead and talk about the smart capabilities and features in this thing. As you guys probably already know, Siri is not as advanced as Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant, so if you're wanting a speaker directly for its smart capabilities, the HomePod probably is not the best option. Now this thing does work with the Apple Home app, which will allow you to see all of your different smart devices, like your HomePods, smart locks, smart lights, and anything else you might have. But do keep in mind that with the HomePod, you will not have access to near as many smart accessories as you would with the Amazon Alexa products. Also, if you were given the option to use a smart assistant on an important test, you probably would not be picking Siri, and instead you'd probably choose either Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa, because Siri is just not as developed as some of the others. So you're probably wondering, is there anything significant that has been changed with the HomePod, and why is Apple trying to give it another shot? Well, there are a couple of different improvements that we've already talked about, like the better display on the top here, the bottom which is now completely flat instead of that donut shaped, a detachable cable, different sound mechanics, and the new midnight color, but none of that really makes a huge difference, so what else is there? Well, I think the new handoff feature was a great addition, because if you're listening to something on your iPhone like Spotify or Apple Music, then you can just tap your phone to the HomePod like this, and music will start to play through your HomePod. And yes, you can stream Spotify through the Apple HomePod, and I personally use it myself, but it is not very smooth, and every time you skip to the next song or skip back to the previous song or pause or play your music, there's a couple second delay. One thing that is kind of cool though is that there is a new system listening mechanism inside, so that if you have an alarm going off in your house, then the HomePod will notify your phone, and there's other things that it can detect as well. This also does have stereo pair, so you can connect 2 HomePods together at once, so that they can play music simultaneously, which sounds absolutely incredible, and it is a great option if you want to connect these to your Apple TV. Let's move on and talk about the sound quality though, because this is probably where the HomePod shines the most. The sound in this smart speaker is very, very good, and it's honestly one of my favorite sounding smart speakers around this size that I've ever listened to, because the bass has a really nice kick to it, and the audio is just overall super crisp and clear. And this thing still has room sensing, so if you place it by a wall, it will know exactly what direction to send the audio to, so that it always sounds the best it possibly can, no matter where you decide to set the speaker down at. The audio does sound very similar to the previous HomePod, even though we have less tweeters. And one thing this thing does an incredible job at is picking up on your voice even when there's music blasting. The far-field microphones are really good, and they can pick up my voice all the way across the room even when music is playing at loud volumes. And after every single thing that we've talked about, who is the HomePod for, and would it be a good option for yourself? Well, there are definitely a couple of things to keep in mind here. First, Siri is really underdeveloped when compared to the other smart assistants, and second, you will not have near as many options when it comes to smart devices. But that being said, if you are somebody in the Apple ecosystem and you want a smart speaker that can do basic things, like tell you the temperature, set reminders for you, or tell you the humidity in a room, and you want really good audio, then you might want to consider the Apple HomePod. Apple really hasn't made any significant changes to the HomePod that separates it from the other smart speakers in the market, even though I do really enjoy its sound. I personally use Spotify, so I don't really have a HomePod that I use for myself, but if I did use Apple Music, then I probably would consider getting a HomePod just because I love the audio so much. With all of that being said though, what do you guys think about the Apple HomePod? Definitely let me know in the comments down below this video, because I'd love to hear what you think. And if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button because it helps the channel more than you know. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. Thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!